Come on, Stan, make your entrance. Come join me here on this couch.
I wasn't going to show up, but when I took one look at this young lady, I figured I could spare a few more minutes.
Are you kidding? Someone please tweet this to me, like right now before I freak out. It's a real pleasure to sit here next to you on this couch and to have an opportunity to moderate this panel. But like I talked to you about, I prefer to turn it over to their questions as quickly as possible. Because
Well, what if they're tough questions and I don't know the answer?
you will.
Yeah.
Oh, but so here's the one thing, though, you guys. You can't ask questions about upcoming movies. You can't. I will shut it down like nobody. I will go Hulk. Thank you, guys. All right, let's turn it over to the first question. We'll start on this side here. Go right ahead. Oh, that microphone's not on. Hang on.
Oh, no. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hi, Stan. It's a pleasure. With all the
Just a moment. What is a pleasure?
It's a pleasure to speak to you. It's a pleasure to ask
imagine
a question.
so.
It's a pleasure to see you. We're all very pleased that you're here in Portland. So with all of the different projects and TV shows and movies that are coming out, and more is coming out, you always seem to have such a supportive, positive attitude about all of them. Whether they're more or less commercially successful, you seem to be really positive in your support. Are you? And how do you keep such a good attitude and keep showing such amazing support for so many different projects are out there? And do you have a sense of pride in each and every one?
Well, let me explain something. Even though I look like a model of physical perfection,
You do?
I don't hear as well as I did. And I heard your voice, but I had trouble making out the words, because when you talk into the mic, to me, it sounds like... So if you would summarize...
This is why I get to sit here, so yay.
Forgive me, it makes it a little difficult, but if she summarizes the question, it'll make it easier for me to understand what you said. Now, you have to speak clearly, too, or else we're dead.
Yeah, I got to. Essentially, she was wondering with all of your current projects, how you maintain such a good attitude through all the years.
Oh, they pay me a lot of money.
Does he have a sense of pride for each of the
No,
projects?
that wasn't really the truth. It just sounded like the thing to say. Did you say he said a sense of pride?
Yes.
Oh, I am so proud of the fact that I come to a place like this, a great town like this, and a great convention like this, and there's a filled house here wanting to ask questions. Of course I have a sense of pride. Sometimes it's hard for me to believe it, but I love it, and I love all of you for being here.
Now, given that we have so many people who want to speak, I am going to ask that you limit it to one question. If you know, in my previous panels, I've not done that, but we have a lot of people, so please choose your one question. I really appreciate it, you guys, so everyone can ask, hopefully. Go ahead.
Stan, you've accomplished so much in your life, but one of the greatest accomplishments is being married to Joan for almost 69 years.
66 and a half years, I believe.
So with that being said, being a newlywed myself, what advice do you have?
She's a newlywed and wants your advice for a long marriage.
Oh, you got to marry a girl like Joan.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's impossible to give advice. You have to be lucky, too. I was lucky. And I was lucky, first of all, she's not much of a comic book reader, so she can never criticize my stories.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a question over here.
Hello, Stan. Ooh, that's loud. My name is Cecily. I'm a single mom, and I have 6 boys. So you
Wow.
can
You heard that.
You can imagine all the superheroes running around my house. Today is my son's birthday. His name is Eli, and he's 8 years old today, and he can't be with me. And I was wanting to know if you could sing him happy birthday, and I think it would be the greatest birthday present for him. And I can record it.
What's his name? Eli. Hey, Eli, I want to wish you a very special happy birthday, and I hope that you and your 5 other brothers and sisters and your mom live happily and everything is great for you. And I'm so thrilled to be able to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Good. Now we're good.
How do you know which way to look?
I ping pong, generally speaking, because they've queued up on both
Oh,
sides.
that's very clever.
Yeah, well. Go ahead.
Forgive me, I am kind of hyperventilating right now because this is such an honor to be here and your presence. But I was wondering what it was like to be in the bar scene in Deadpool.
I'm very upset about that scene because I wasn't really there. They shot that scene, they came to Los Angeles, and they shot it in a studio, and then they put it in the movie. So I wasn't in that nightclub looking at those lovely girls dancing.
That's such a shame.
I was looking at a couple of directors and people with beards and sweatshirts telling me what I should do.
Thank you.
Sometimes you can't get a break.
And we'll go over here now for a question on this side.
All right. What was it like to work with Jack Kirby and Joe Simon?
Well, I worked with Jack Kirby much more than Joe Simon. Joe and Jack were there at the beginning when I came to the company, but Joe left after a while. I never knew why, and Jack stayed on to do all the artwork that he did. What it was worth to work with Jack is indescribable. He was the finest artist, and there was something about the way he drew. Most artists, when they're drawing a figure or anything, they do it sketchily. They do a few lines and go over it, and finally it's the way they like it. Jack would draw one line, the next line, the next line. He drew as if it was already there, and he was just tracing it. He never changed a line. He never stopped to think, oh, it might look better this way. He just put the drawing down, went to the next panel. It was incredible, and there was nothing that he couldn't draw. He was really amazing, and I was very lucky to have had the chance to work with him.
Mr. Lee, I want to thank you for a lifetime of work because it certainly influenced mine. I want to ask direct from the source, when you pitched Tony Stark as an alcoholic, what was the mood? Because that was a big deal.
Well, I like to do characters that aren't perfect because this will come as a surprise to you, but I'm not perfect. Very few of us are, except possibly this young lady sitting next to me. And I thought it would be interesting to get a guy who's got everything. He's rich, he's handsome, he's talented, but he's also something of an alcoholic. And later on, I gave him a bad heart also, the poor guy. But I just, for me, I thought it made him more interesting, because if somebody is perfect, they could be a little dull. That's always been my problem. I have to fight dullness because I'm so perfect.
Thanks, sir.
Hi there, Tim Josma from Latino Review Media, and first of all, I'd like to thank you for taking my first question I've ever asked for anybody in the press. My question is, of all the characters you've created, which one do you feel other creators have made better? Thank you.
You mean who's improved on my characters? No, I think, honestly, if I started the character and other people are going to write stories about him later on, all the guys improve on him. They keep adding things to him, and they make them more interesting. They add new characters and so forth. And I expect that, and I want that. I wouldn't want people to do stories based on characters that I've come up with and have the stories not be very good. Because people would say, that Stan Lee wasn't so good, his character. Everybody thinks I'm better than I am because they're writing great stories, and I like that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm 9 years old, and I wanted to know if you could have dinner with anybody that's a historical figure, who would it be?
Who would I have dinner with if I could have dinner with anyone?
Historical figure.
Oh, historical figure. Well, you had to let me think for a minute. I think maybe Shakespeare. Because even though I think I'm a pretty good writer, he was the best. I'd love to have known Shakespeare.
Very good. Go ahead.
Mr. Stanley, it's a pleasure for me and my brother to be standing here right now talking to you.
It's a pleasure for me to be listening to you, so there.
Thank you. I have another brother in the back. Nathan, wave your hand. That's my other brother. He's disabled, so he can't make it all the way up here. We're all born in September, and the biggest gift or the biggest thing we've ever wanted was just a little something signed by you. Just anything. We don't care. But it's all our birthday this month. And we was wondering if this Spider-Man, we could get you to sign.
I can't hear you because he was still. Wait till he finishes. Are you finished?
I'm done.
Tell me. This young lady will take care of that, I promise.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. We cannot do it here at all. They will come and yank me and then him off the stage, so we don't want that to happen.
No, that's
so
completely
we'll try to figure
understandable.
something
we
out.
will find a way to get that for you.
Thank you. That's the biggest gift ever. Thank you.
And I thank your brother for coming here.
Okay, we'll take a question from over on this side.
Hello. I don't even know.
So far, it's an easy question.
So my dad, brother, and I are a huge fan of yours. My dad couldn't come because he had a job to do, and my brother couldn't come because he had chores. Is there any way that I could rub it in their faces that I met you?
Well, I think when your father and your brothers read about this in every newspaper in the country and all over television, because obviously this is one of the biggest events of the year throughout the nation, they'll wish they were here.
That's the best we. What was your name?
Zion.
I say goodbye.
No, Zaya. Z-I-A-H.
Via.
Zaya.
What
with a
about
Z.
Via?
Just say hi to him.
Oh, hi, Via. You gotta forgive me. I'm not so smart.
That is not true. Let's take a question over here.
Hi. Wait, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So, are you a Star Trek fan, Star Wars fan, and if you either hate or love both of them equally, a Doctor Who fan?
Okay. Way to work 3 questions into one.
Doctor Who, I have never seen that much of. I never had a chance to really get into Doctor Who.
He's been busy, people.
I'm sorry. But the other 2, of course, Star Trek, Star Wars, hey, they're for me. No, but I have something I have to ask you, mostly you, I think. You're asking for questions from over there. You're asking for questions from over there. What about these poor people in the center? You never once said, I got a question from over there.
Well, they're working the event, and they are our volunteers, and there's no microphone there. So the way they make us
You mean
do
these
it.
poor people have no mic? Do they
Here.
pay less to get in because they have no microphone? They have an extra fee for the microphone on the side. The side is the expensive side. I get it.
They do it because we have cameras back there, so they don't want people to block your lovely face, so we can show them up on those
Wait a
monitors.
minute. Are we on a screen here?
Yeah. There and there.
But I don't see myself. I'm from the back. You mean if I turn, the only way I can see myself is from the back? I want to talk to whoever set this up. It's a bad mistake. I don't know what I'm going to do with you. All right, here we go.
This side, this side.
Have you heard of any other animal characters that are based on superheroes other than yours?
I'm always trying to think of new ones, and I do have one I'm working on, but I'm not allowed to mention it because I'm never allowed to mention anything unless it's finished and on the screen. But yes, I am working on a new character whose name is based on another animal, and I can't tell you what it is. I know this is frustrating you and ruining your day, and you walk home miserable, but I'm sorry, I can't.
Very good. Over here, please.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Quick question. What's your secret to managing like large teams of people?
I don't do it. I manage small teams, and I let the small teams manage the large teams. No, I don't. It isn't a case of managing people. It's a case of you try to work with people who are very talented and people whom you respect. And when you work with people like that, it's not a case of managing them. I feel we're all working together. It's a team, and it's fun, and it's like playing. Other men like to go out and play golf or whatever they do. I love to work with the artists and the writers and the people who are involved in our books and our movies, and it's not managing, it's just working together and trying to bring out the best product we can and trying to beat DC.
Okay, question over here.
Hi, Mr. Lee. I was wondering, so you created Daredevil, and I was curious, what inspired you to create that character? And is there any aspect of that character that's your favorite?
Well, my favorite aspect of him is that he's blind. And it's very funny, though. You keep looking over there for the questioner, and I hear the sound coming from there. But I'll never understand these things. Anyhow, I wanted to make Daredevil the way he is because I thought it would be interesting to take somebody who had a serious thing wrong with him and show that he could somehow overcome it. Of course, he didn't overcome it in an easy way that anybody else could. It took a chemical explosion, but still, it's a very interesting thing about Daredevil. When I wrote it and the book was published, I was a little bit afraid that I'd get complaining letters from charities or organizations for the blind people. I was afraid they'd say, why are you showing a character who's blind who can do all of that when you know that blind people can't do that? And I was concerned. And the funny thing is, I got so much mail from charities for blind people saying, we love Daredevil, and we read it to the people in our organization, and they love it, and they love a blind man being a hero. So it turned out okay, I'm happy to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
When you were creating Thor,
why wasn't there more research done since he's a 16-foot tall, redheaded, and very bearded instead of the blonde, pretty boy?
Why did you deviate from Thor's sort of history and redheaded 16-foot tall guy and make him a shorter blonde guy?
This will come as a surprise to you. I do not write history books. I make up the stories and I base them on stuff I'm interested in. I wanted Thor to be blind. I'm sorry, not blind, blonde. I don't care it. First of all, you never saw Thor in real life. Nobody ever did. So how do you know what color his hair should be? Tell you a funny thing about Thor and about DC Comics. You know, I claim that Marvel is more scientific than DC, and I'm going to tell you why. When Superman flies, all he does is sort of put his hands together like that, and off he goes. What propels him? What is it that's making him fly? The original explanation for his power was he came from a planet where the gravity was so much stronger, he had to be strong to overcome it. So when he landed on Earth, he could jump over a building. To him, the gravity was so light. They never said anything about him flying. Now, at Marvel, we do everything scientifically. So with Thor, I wanted Thor to fly, and I wanted to get a valid scientific reason why Thor could fly. So I gave him a leather thong on the end of his hammer, and he swings the hammer around as fast as a propeller. Then he lets it go. Well, it's attached to his wrist by the thong, so the hammer goes flying off and it pulls him with it. So you can see, Marvel is strictly scientific compared to the composition. You may make notes if you wish.
It's all right here and well documented by the 6,000 cameras I see in the audience. We'll take a question from right over there.
Hi, Mr. Lee. Thank you for everything you've given us. I love your dedication to doing your cameos in all your movies. My favorite is when Tony Stark mistook you for Hugh Hefner. So I was just wondering what your favorite cameo that you've done is.
Well, I really like them all because they all show how incredibly talented an actor I am. But maybe my favorite was the one, getting back to Thor, where he's having a drink and I want a sip of it, and he says it's too strong for you, but I insist, and he gives me a drink, and in the next scene, they're kind of carrying me out. And the reason that's my favorite, I don't know if you're aware of this, I think that's the only cameo I ever did that has 2 scenes. So I'm hoping that'll give him an idea. Maybe next time I'll get 3 scenes.
Thank you.
Sooner or later, I'll be the star of the movie.
And a question over here.
Hey, Stanley. You made a huge impact on my life when I was growing up as a kid, and as well as my father's life. Our favorite hero was easily Spider-Man, and yeah, and it made a huge difference in my dad's life. His name is Mike. Could I get you to make a shout out and say hi to Mike?
Hiya, Mike.
Thank you, Sam.
Stop crawling on the wall and just walk like a regular guy.
Thank you, Stanley.
Go ahead.
Hi, Sam. My name's Saxton, and I was wondering, how did you create Deadpool?
Oh, I'm sorry you asked that. I didn't create Deadpool. I love Deadpool. I think he's a great character, but I didn't do him. And I do think, though, that there was one line in the Deadpool movie that I thought was one of the cleverest I've ever read, and I didn't write it. It's when he's talking to a bunch of guys that are shooting at him, and he's shooting back, and he looks at his hand, and he says, "I've only got 12 bullets. You'll have to share." I love that line.
And we'll take a question over here.
Hi, my name is Megan, and I teach a high school cartooning class, and we focus a lot on comics. And I was wondering if you had any, sorry, advice for my aspiring students, be it with drawing or writing comics.
Advice about what? I really don't. You either have a feeling for doing comics or you don't. And if you do, the only thing to do, if you're a writer, is write them. And if you're an artist, try to draw them. And if you're good, or if you think your stuff is good, submit it to a comic book publisher, preferably Marvel, and see what they say. Unless there's a specific question, I don't know what to say about just, what to do about how to do comics.
It was just vague. Thank you.
By the way, I think this young lady here deserves. Is it a man? Wait, is it a? Oh, I'm sorry. No, the last place I was at, I forget what city it was, there was a woman doing that. I just took it for granted. I didn't look, but this man deserves a lot of credit. That's a lot of work, and he's doing a good job. Thank you. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Well, and she switches off. There was a girl. You were right. There's also, they switch every 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. I feel better.
Right over here for a question.
Hi. So, I was wondering if you had the chance to cameo in the next Incredibles movie, would you take it?
We can't, I promise you, they were like...
Oh, no, I'm not allowed to tell what the cameos are.
I don't think you're supposed to say anything.
No.
Okay.
If I had a chance to cameo...
He's the boss.
In which next movie?
Which one?
Incredibles 2.
Incredibles 2.
Oh, I take it. I would take any cameo. I love doing cameos. In fact, I have a whole role in the next... what's that thing I did a movie in years ago? Mallrats. The Mallrats sequel. Wait till you see that. It's more than a cameo.
We'll take a question over here.
It'll set movie acting back a few generations.
Hi, Stanley. I would like to thank you for all you've done for my family, because we've all pretty much grown up from Marvel. And this actually comes from my grandma, who literally just texted me this question not too long ago. What was your favorite comic to write?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I never thought of that. I don't really think I had a favorite one to write, because honestly, I loved writing them all. Writing those strips, I was like a fan. I'm my own biggest fan. I'd write stuff and I'd say, boy, that's good. I wonder what happens next. So then I'd write what happened next. And I'd say, oh man, is he in trouble? I wonder how he'll get out of it. And I'd figure out, it's like I was reading it while I was writing it. And I forgot what the question was, but that's about the way it was.
Yeah, that pretty much answers it.
I just want to say that being here and actually talking to you is a dream come true. And from one veteran to another, I'd like to say thank you for your service. And
well, you're very welcome. That's another part of my life, but thank you very much.
I was just going to say, as a child, I had a very hard time making friends. And Spider-Man was what I considered my best friend for about 4 years. So from myself and all those others who had the same circumstances, I just want to say thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for your service, too. Thank you. Let's go over here for a question.
I just might mention, it was so gratifying. We received more mail from service people, men and women that were in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, at Marvel about our characters. And oh man, that felt good. I just want to mention that.
just wanted to know what has been your favorite fan experience at any Comic Con or any convention you've ever been to? If you can remember.
I think what she means is there's so many.
Yes,
Like there's
exactly. And I'm sorry, but everybody loves Stan Lee.
You know, the thing is, it's hard to think of a favorite time. You people at all the conventions are so friendly and so nice. And every time I go home, I tell my wife, that was the best convention I've been to. This is the best convention I remember being to.
That sounds like me.
It really is wonderful that when we started in comics a million years ago, people hated comic books. Parents didn't let their children, or didn't want to, let their children read comics. They felt it'll stunt their educational growth because you shouldn't look at pictures and read the words. It'll make you lazy. You should read a book where they describe the picture. And it took the longest time to make people realize that actually more people learn to read quicker and better by reading comics as children than not. And I used to travel around the country and lecture at colleges and high schools and public schools about that subject. And I'll save that for another meeting. It's too long a story. But anyway, comics are damn good, whatever the question was.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you talk about Shakespeare. Can you imagine somebody saying to somebody, I don't want you to go to see a Shakespeare play because you should just read the play. You shouldn't see it on the stage. It'll hurt your imagination.
And we'll take a question over there.
I just wanted to thank you for bringing Marvel to our world, and that's pretty much it.
You're welcome. Now, see, that's the way these things should go. I want to thank you for something. You're welcome. Next question.
You've done so much over the years, given so much to America, amazing characters, and some of your best are, I think, are the Fantastic Four. And recently in Marvel, they haven't really been showing up as much. They currently don't have a title. How do you feel about this?
I don't know what to say about that. I love the Fantastic Four, and I think what's happened is a lot of the other books, like the X-Men and Deadpool and so forth, they've become so hot with the readers, and Thor, but I'm going to talk to the guys back at Marvel and see if we can't give the FF a little push, because they are it is a good. And it was the first one. It was the first of the new Marvel books. So I don't think we should abandon it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to move on to the next question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, since I see people live streaming, could you give us your best Excelsior?
Want me to say Excelsior? Hold on.
There we go.
Excelsior!
Thank you, Stan.
You have to say it with feeling.
Go ahead.
Hi, Stanley. I wanted to ask you a question. What is your favorite Marvel movie?
Oh gosh, I've loved every one of them. I loved Iron Man because that was a surprise. Nobody thought it would be that good when it first came out. I'll say Iron Man just because we have to answer.
And now over here.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for making all of the Marvel heroes. It's
literally been like a great thing in my life. And I was gonna say, what is your favorite character like to come up with?
Who's my favorite character?
We'll go with that. Sure.
Well, I think probably Spider-Man if I have to name one character.
Thank you.
I always like Spidey. Oh, speaking of that, you notice I call him Spidey, and I had other nicknames for the other. I called Iron Man Shellhead, and on and on. And I thought it was kind of funny that DC never did that. They never called Batman Batty or Superman Soupy. But hey, that's another company. I'm not going to talk about it.
Which side am I going to next, you guys? Keep me honest here. This side over here for a question?
You don't go to the middle side because they're the cheap tickets, right?
They're getting great photographs. They've got good pictures.
Oh, really?
Just
Okay.
no microphone.
First off, Stan, thank you for everything. You're just amazing. You made my whole childhood growing up. In all interviews, you always come off as this very nice, kind young man. And I was just wondering, was there ever a time that you lost your cool?
Oh, no, I wouldn't dare. No, I happen to be one of these wonderfully nice people who never loses his cool and never does anything wrong. And if my wife was here, she would walk out in anger hearing me say that.
Let's go over here.
Hi, Stan. Oh, my name's Brandon, and first off, thank you for shaping basically my entire life with the amazing characters that you've created. And my question is, do you have a favorite fictional character outside of the Marvel Universe?
Oh, I got a lot of them. Don Quixote.
That's a good one.
And Carlton in A Tale of Two Cities. I think that's one of the most dramatic lines at the end. It is a far, far better place I go than I have ever known, and I love Dickens. No, I have so many favorite characters. When I leave here, I'll be saying, oh, I should have mentioned this and I should have mentioned that. But there are so many beautiful things in literature that have been written. I love Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, when he made the not to be, but Friends, Romans, Countrymen. Now, I don't know if you've read Brutus's speech, which came before that, which goes, Romans, countrymen, lovers, hear me for my cause, and be silent that you may hear. Respect me for mine honor, and have respect to mine honor that you may believe, and it goes on and on. Shakespeare was so good, but we're getting sidetracked. Ask a question.
That's a good answer. Go ahead.
So I'm going to get booed for this, but never in my life have I read a Marvel superhero comic. What story or issue specifically would you recommend for me? I will go and buy it right now.
Any one of them. Hey, are you serious? You never read a Marvel comic?
Not one. Is there an issue for me? Name
Where
an
did
issue.
you used to live?
30 miles south.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Thank you.
Over here for our next question.
My favorite thing as a kid was when aliens would try to abduct the Incredible Hulk because he would trash their spaceship and it would crash into the earth and he'd walk away unscathed. That really helped me as a kid because I was terrified of extraterrestrials. How did you come up with that concept?
Well, you have every right to be terrified of aliens, because you never know when one will crop up. But the Hulk, let's see, how did the Hulk begin? What's his name, Bruce Banner? Is that his name? And, you know, I have no memory. In fact, I named all my characters so that the first letter and the last letter and the first letter of each name was the same. So if I could think of Bruce, I knew the last name also began with B. It gave me a hint. And what was the question about he loved aliens?
How did you come up with the idea to have the Hulk obliterate aliens?
Well, the Hulk doesn't obliterate aliens. He thinks aliens are nasty people, and he doesn't want them hurting Earthlings. So he tells them, "Please go away, aliens." The Hulk is one of my favorite characters too. I never thought it would work. When we did the Hulk, my publisher said to me, "Stan, you're crazy. You can't make a hero out of a green-skinned, ugly monster." And I said, "But there should be a place in the world for green-skinned, ugly monsters." And the Hulk has been around all these years. It's amazing. I like her. I could say anything and she applauds.
Absolutely.
My name is Stan Lee. Watch.
You see the company I'm in? We get it. We know what's going on. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions at the most. Go ahead, over here.
First of all, I want to say that it's a huge honor to finally meet you, Stan. I wanted to meet you since I was a little kid. And my question is, when you and Jack Kirby first created Captain America all those years ago, did you ever think that what you started would become what it is today?
You know, I hate to say this, but I didn't create Captain America with Jack Kirby. It's one of the characters I did not create. Joe Simon created it with him. I took it over many months later when Joe and Jack left the company for a while. But to answer your question, I always had a feeling he would be a popular character because every time he appeared in a comic, in a cover of a comic, that book sold well. There is something about this red, white, and blue character. The only thing I created about him, the shield originally was triangular in shape, and I said I want to make it circular instead. I thought it was more dramatic that way, and he could throw it like a disc and so forth. But I'm getting off the subject. I didn't create Captain America. I wish I did. I'd be very proud if I did.
Very nice. And this over here will be our last question.
Oh boy, it better be good. Don't be nervous.
No pressure.
Okay.
Too scared to ask now.
Yeah, all right. Okay. I couldn't really come up with enough for an autograph today, but I'll just ask a simple question, if I can call it simple. All right. You have created many different comic characters for a lot of different decades. There has been one that's probably extremely recent, and it's not from this country, but from a more different part of the world, Japan, called Karakiri Doji Ultimo. What was your sort of inspiration behind the concept of the series?
Now I want you to watch how briefly she will put that question. You know, I've done a lot of Japanese comics. Don't ask me why, but they asked me to do them. And I don't remember the names either. So I can't talk to you about the name. One of them is on sale here in America, because every so often I get some to autograph at a place like this. But, oh, gee, I hate to end this thing with a question that I don't know the answer to.
Then let's bring up one more person. It is your
I'm
lucky
sorry
day, and then
about
move on, stand off the stage here in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for coming to Portland one last time, Generalissimo.
No, I thank you for having me here because you people are just great. I've enjoyed every minute of it, And I can't wait to tell my wife all the crazy things that happened while I was here when I get home. So once again, many, many thanks for your hospitality and your friendship and the fact that you seem to like the comics. Thank you for helping.
Let's take a
Thank
picture
you
together.
for helping. And what are you doing?
I'm taking a photo because I can. Stan Lee.
Thank you. Thank you. Excelsior.